Hi, today we are going to learn how to make an I-cord or a crocheted I-cord. I-cords are typically a knit technique. It's just a small circumference of stitches that have been knit in the round to make a really small knitted tube. In this case, we're going to do a crocheted I-cord, and we're going to do an I-cord with a crochet hook. The technique is essentially the same, except we're going to use a crochet hook instead of knitting needles. These crocheted I-cords are featured on the paper Garland stocking. A crocheted I-cord is sort of an unusual technique, so we wanted to show you how we made these I-cords on this paper Garland stocking. The I-cord is super simple. You're going to start with chain 3, so we're going to start with a slip knot made in the traditional way. You're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to go into the second loop from the hook or second chain from the hook, and you're going to pull up a loop. So we're going to have 2 loops on the hook, and then we're going to go into the first chain from the hook and pull up a loop, and now we have 3 loops on the hook. This technique can be worked in 2 different ways. The first couple times you make it, it can be a little fiddly, so I highly recommend using a locking stitch marker to hold your stitches rather than just holding them with your fingers. The first couple ones we're going to do with a locking stitch marker. So I'm going to slide the locking stitch marker around the first 2 stitches, and I'm going to go ahead and lock it just so that I know that my stitches are secure. You're then going to remove the first 2 stitches or the first 2 loops that you pulled up. You're going to remove them from your hook. Then you're going to carefully, so that you don't lose your stitch, that's why we put the marker in, you're going to yarn over and pull up a loop in that first loop that you had on your hook. Then, because it's on this locking stitch marker, you can see there's your second loop. You're going to insert the hook into the second loop, you're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, and then we're going to go and gently tug up our third loop. And at this point it might be easier to unlock your stitch marker, hang on to that first stitch, you can let go of the second, and then you can use your stitch marker to kind of tug that third stitch up. Insert your hook into the third stitch. I'm going to remove the marker now. And then you're going to yarn over and pull up a third loop. So we still have 3 loops on the hook. And then we're going to repeat that process. And so we're going to go ahead and put the stitch marker through the first 2 loops on the hook. Go ahead and close it so that you don't lose those stitches. Take those stitches off the hook, yarn over, pull up a loop through the first stitch. You can see the second stitch. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, so we've got 2 loops on the hook. And then we're going to go ahead and let go of the second stitch and use that stitch marker to tug up the third loop. Then we're going to put that loop on the hook. Oops, I split it. So we're going to put that loop on the hook, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through that third loop. So the alternative, if you don't want to use a stitch marker, and this is a little fiddlier, what you can do is you can simply slide the first 2 loops off your hook, and then I'm going to keep that one. You can pinch them. So basically you hold them with your thumb and your finger. And then what you're going to do, you're going to pinch those stitches, you're going to yarn over and pull through that first stitch, then you're going to put the second stitch on your hook, you're going to yarn over and pull through the second stitch, and then put the third stitch on the hook, yarn over and pull through the third stitch. Let's do that again. We're going to pull those 2 stitches off, yarn over and pull through the first stitch, yarn over and pull through the second stitch, put the third stitch on the hook, yarn over and pull through the third stitch. That's all there is to it. You're just going to keep working these 3 stitches, always working the stitch that's farthest down the hook first, the middle stitch second, oops, and then the last stitch third. And you'll keep working these 3 stitches in that order until you have an I-cord that's either the number of times that they tell you to make it, or until it's the length. Usually they want you to make it for a certain length. Again, that locking stitch marker makes this so much easier, but if you're brave and you want to just hang onto the stitches, you can do it that way as well. But that's all there is to making a crocheted I-cord. Until next time, happy stitching!